Linda Evans was born on November 18, 1942, in Hartford, Connecticut, under the birth name Linda Evenstad. She was the second of three daughters born to Arlene and Elba Evenstad, a professional dancer and an avid musician of Norwegian descent. When she was still young, her family moved to North Hollywood, California, where she was introduced to the world of entertainment through a mixture of environment and circumstance. Her striking beauty and poise were apparent from an early age, but it was her determination and willingness to take risks that would ultimately shape her career. Linda attended Hollywood High School, where she found herself surrounded by students with show business aspirations. Her own interest in acting began not through ambition, but rather as a way to overcome her natural shyness. At the suggestion of a drama teacher, she enrolled in acting classes to help build her confidence. To her surprise, she fell in love with performance. She began auditioning for small roles shortly after graduating, and her first break came in 1960 with a guest appearance on the detective series Bachelor Father, starring John Forsythe, who would later play a pivotal role in her most iconic work. Her early career was defined by numerous guest roles in television westerns and dramas, including The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, Wagon Train, and The Lieutenant. She was quickly recognized for her grace and screen presence, which earned her a spot in the hit TV series The Big Valley, 1965 to 1969, where she played Audra Barkley, the strong yet compassionate daughter of Barbara Stanwyck's character. This role propelled her into the public spotlight and established her as a rising star in Hollywood. Throughout the late 1960s and 1970s, Linda continued to work steadily in both television and film. She appeared in a range of projects, including The Klansman alongside Lee Marvin and Richard Burton, and Mitchell with Joe Don Baker. However, it was clear that television remained her strongest platform. She built a reputation for playing emotionally resonant characters with warmth and dignity, and her screen image as the gentle, elegant woman became a defining element of her career. By the early 1980s, Linda Evans had already cemented her place in television history. But what followed next would become the most memorable chapter of her acting journey, one that would elevate her to international fame and redefine her legacy in the world of entertainment. After years of dedication and perseverance in the television industry, Linda Evans finally stepped into the most defining and celebrated phase of her career in the 1980s, a period marked by fame, critical acclaim, and cultural influence. The moment that changed everything came in 1981 when she was cast as Crystal Carrington in the hit ABC television series Dynasty. This role not only catapulted Evans into global superstardom, but also became synonymous with the golden age of primetime soap operas. Dynasty, created by Richard and Esther Shapiro and produced by Aaron Spelling, was envisioned as a rival to Dallas, another popular soap opera of the time. The show chronicled the opulent and often scandalous lives of the Carrington family, oil tycoons living in Denver. Evans' role as Crystal, the elegant and kind-hearted wife of tycoon Blake Carrington, played by John Forsythe, immediately captured the audience's imagination. Her character served as the moral center of the show, a stark contrast to the manipulative and devious Alexis Colby, played by Joan Collins. The iconic rivalry between Crystal and Alexis became a cultural phenomenon, with their legendary catfights making headlines and drawing millions of viewers. During the peak years of Dynasty, Linda Evans became one of the most recognized and admired actresses in the world. Her grace, beauty, and strong screen presence resonated deeply with audiences. She was nominated for a Golden Globe Award for Best Actress in a Television Series, Drama 5 times, and she won a People's Choice Award as Favorite Female Performer in a new TV program in 1982, followed by multiple other People's Choice Awards throughout the show's run. In 1983, Dynasty became the #1 show in the United States, and Evans' popularity reached unprecedented heights. Fashion played a key role in Dynasty's appeal, and Evans emerged as a style icon. Her character's wardrobe, filled with luxurious gowns, shoulder pads, and designer pieces, defined 1980s glamour and inspired countless women around the world. Collaborating with designer Nolan Miller, Evans helped bring high fashion to television, transforming her into not only an actress, but a symbol of elegance. Outside of the show, Linda Evans enjoyed a high-profile public life. She appeared on countless magazine covers, talk shows, and red carpet events. She was frequently named one of the most beautiful women on television. Evans also used her fame to pursue philanthropic efforts, particularly supporting causes related to health, wellness, and women's empowerment. She began to explore a deeper interest in spirituality and alternative medicine during this period, which would later become a central part of her personal journey. Although Dynasty eventually ended in 1989 after 9 seasons, Linda Evans' time on the show marked the undisputed zenith of her acting career. She had become more than just a television star. She had become a cultural icon, a beacon of strength, femininity, and resilience for a generation of women. The legacy of her portrayal of Crystal Carrington continues to be celebrated in pop culture, and Dynasty remains a defining chapter in the history of American television. This peak period not only solidified Evans's place in the entertainment industry, but also left an enduring imprint on television storytelling. She proved that a woman could be strong yet compassionate, elegant yet relatable, and glamorous yet grounded, all in one unforgettable role. As Linda Evans basked in the limelight during her Dynasty years, her poised, elegant public persona masked personal struggles and controversies that simmered beneath the surface. The years following her peak in the 1980s were marked by profound changes and crises that tested her strength, character, and public image. One of the most challenging aspects of Evans's life was her tumultuous personal relationships. While her on-screen chemistry with co-stars like John Forsythe and Joan Collins captivated audiences, her real-life love life was far less glamorous. Her marriage to actor and director John Derek ended in 1974 when he left her for the then-teenaged Bo Derek, a betrayal that left Evans emotionally shattered. The public nature of the split drew tabloid attention, and although she handled it with grace, the pain ran deep. In the 1980s and 1990s, Evans was often in the media for her association with self-help movements and spiritual healers. Most notably, her relationship with the controversial spiritual teacher J.Z. Knight, who claimed to channel a 35,000-year-old warrior spirit named Ramtha, drew both fascination and criticism. Evans became a devoted follower, appearing at Ramtha's School of Enlightenment and speaking openly about her spiritual beliefs. While some admired her for her openness to alternative thinking, others accused her of naivety and being manipulated. This association led to questions about her judgment, particularly in Hollywood, where image and credibility were paramount. Her professional career also experienced a decline after Dynasty ended in 1989. Although she had achieved iconic status, the roles offered to her in the 1990s failed to match the glamour and drama of her Alexis versus Crystal era. Hollywood, as it often does with actresses of a certain age, began to overlook her, contributing to a sense of disillusionment and isolation. Evans began turning down roles and slowly withdrew from the public eye. Rumors circulated that she was struggling with depression, compounded by the pressures of aging in an industry that glorifies youth. Another controversy surrounded her decision to undergo cosmetic surgery. During the 1990s, changes in her appearance sparked widespread media speculation. Some fans and critics lamented that she had altered her natural beauty, while others argued it was her right to do whatever made her feel confident. Evans, for her part, remained largely silent on the subject for years, only later acknowledging the personal and societal pressures that influenced her choices. Financial concerns also emerged in the early 2000s. Though Evans had earned well during her Dynasty years, she had invested in businesses and properties that did not always yield returns. She spent a considerable period managing her own affairs, and while she never declared bankruptcy or suffered major public financial fallout, insiders noted that she lived modestly compared to her earlier years. The confluence of these struggles, betrayal in love, professional decline, public criticism, and personal reinvention, formed a storm of controversy and crisis that would have broken lesser spirits. Yet, even in the face of adversity, Linda Evans retained a sense of dignity and quiet resilience that would eventually lay the groundwork for a powerful and inspiring comeback. Her ability to withstand these crises without descending into scandal or self-destruction speaks to a strength that was often underestimated. In truth, the public only saw part of the story. Behind the scenes, Evans was rebuilding herself, not just as an actress, but as a woman seeking authenticity, healing, and meaning beyond fame. These years of crisis were not the end of her narrative, but rather a difficult, transformative chapter that would ultimately lead to her rebirth. After years of stepping away from the limelight, Linda Evans' return to public life was not marked by a dramatic film role or a dazzling TV revival. Instead, it was a slow and deeply personal resurrection, a quiet assertion of identity beyond the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. For Linda, the journey back was not about reclaiming stardom, but about reclaiming herself. In the years following her departure from television, Linda embraced solitude and introspection. She moved away from Los Angeles and found solace in the tranquility of the Pacific Northwest. Nestled among pine trees and mountain air, she cultivated a life of simplicity. It was during this retreat from fame that she began to rediscover the essence of who she was beneath the layers of characters she had portrayed. Yoga, meditation, and nature became her new co-stars, offering healing where Hollywood had left scars. But the story of Linda Evans is not merely one of retreat, it is one of return. In the early 2000s, she gradually stepped back into the public eye, this time on her own terms. No longer the glamorous Crystal Carrington, she re-emerged as an advocate for inner peace, self-love, and reinvention. She gave candid interviews about aging gracefully, about heartbreak and loss, and about the spiritual journey that had redefined her priorities. Her memoir, Recipes for Life, My Memories, published in 2011, became a touchstone for fans who remembered her as an icon of elegance. The book combined personal anecdotes with family recipes, offering a blend of sweetness and substance. It was not a tell-all exposé, but rather a generous sharing of lessons learned, from her early days in show business to the heartbreaks and health battles that shaped her. Readers were introduced to a Linda Evans who had grown wiser, softer, and stronger. What made her return all the more inspiring was her ability to remain authentic. She didn't hide her age. She didn't chase roles meant for younger actresses. She embraced each wrinkle as a chapter, each gray hair as a line of poetry. Her appearances in documentaries, talk shows, and even reality TV were marked by grace and humor. She offered the world a vision of womanhood rarely celebrated in Hollywood, aging not as decline but as evolution. In 2009, she surprised many by appearing on the British culinary competition Hell's Kitchen, hosted by Marco Pierre White. Her decision to participate wasn't about chasing fame, it was about challenging herself. She admitted that she'd never cooked professionally, but she welcomed the opportunity to learn something new, to feel the thrill of competition in a different arena. Though she did not win, her warmth and humility won over viewers, reminding everyone that reinvention can be both playful and profound. Throughout her comeback, Linda Evans also deepened her commitment to causes close to her heart. She spoke publicly about health and wellness and lent her voice to spiritual and metaphysical conversations. A longtime believer in alternative healing and personal transformation, she became an ambassador for living a life of intention. Unlike many who return to the spotlight seeking validation, Linda sought connection, and she found it, not in studios but in the hearts of people who saw their own lives reflected in her story. Linda's return wasn't loud, it wasn't headline-grabbing in the way scandals are, but it was powerful. It spoke to resilience, to reinvention, to the quiet courage it takes to step away, and the even greater strength it takes to come back changed, not broken. She taught us that the best kind of fame is the one you carry within, the knowledge that you've survived the storm and still choose to love, to give, to grow. In many ways, her second act was richer than the first, not because it brought more awards or accolades, but because it brought authenticity. And for an actress whose most famous character was often trapped in a world of appearances, this return to substance was the truest role of her life. Linda Evans' legacy in the entertainment industry extends far beyond her dazzling beauty and iconic roles. She represents an era of television where elegance, emotional depth, and resilience shape the portrayals of female characters. Her contributions, particularly through her portrayal of Crystal Carrington on Dynasty, reshaped how women were seen in television dramas. Crystal was not just a glamorous socialite. She was strong, compassionate, and morally grounded. Through this role, Evans offered a new kind of heroine, one that many women could admire and aspire to emulate. Her impact also stems from the longevity of her career and the authenticity she brought to every role. In an industry that often discards aging actresses, Linda Evans carved a path that allowed her to age gracefully and continue working. She took a step back from the spotlight on her own terms, choosing peace, spirituality, and introspection. This choice itself became a powerful message about self-worth and fulfillment beyond fame. Off-screen, Linda Evans has been a symbol of quiet strength and introspective evolution. Her advocacy for wellness, healthy living, and spiritual growth inspired many who followed her journey. She openly discussed her spiritual exploration, her time studying with Ramtha School of Enlightenment, and her quest to find deeper meaning in life, demonstrating that reinvention can come from within. Moreover, Evans has served as a bridge between generations. To older audiences, she represents the golden era of television melodrama. To younger fans, she is a figure of poise, wisdom, and timeless allure. Her influence can be seen in the countless modern TV heroines modeled on the archetype she helped define. Actresses and showrunners alike cite her as a pioneer in elevating women's roles on primetime television. Perhaps her most enduring legacy lies in her ability to inspire resilience. Linda Evans survived the personal heartbreaks, public scrutiny, and career turbulence that fame inevitably brings, emerging each time with grace. She taught her audience that beauty isn't merely aesthetic. It's about kindness, integrity, and the ability to evolve. Today, Linda Evans remains a respected figure in Hollywood history. While she may no longer grace the screens regularly, her presence lingers in the culture she helped shape. Her journey, from a shy girl in Hollywood to an international television icon, from heartbreak to inner peace, cements her as one of the most influential and beloved actresses of her time. One of the greatest sorrows in Linda Evans's life was the profound loneliness and heartbreak she experienced, despite her immense fame and public success. While the world saw her as a glamorous icon of beauty and strength, especially through her role as Crystal Carrington in Dynasty, Linda often battled emotional pain in private. Perhaps the deepest of these sorrows stemmed from her personal relationships, especially the end of her long-term partnership with New Age musician Yanni, which lasted nearly a decade. The breakup in the late 1990s came as a devastating blow. Linda had poured herself into the relationship, finding solace and emotional connection after years of Hollywood pressures and failed marriages. Yanni, too, seemed to be a kindred spirit, creative, spiritual, and intensely passionate. However, as their paths began to diverge, the separation left Linda emotionally gutted. In later interviews, she described the heartbreak as one of the most painful periods of her life, admitting that it took her years to fully heal. What made it more tragic was that it happened during a phase when she had intentionally stepped away from the limelight, seeking peace and authenticity, only to be met with personal loss. In addition to romantic heartbreak, Linda also faced the sorrow of losing many close friends and co-stars over the years, including Rock Hudson, with whom she shared a close bond during the filming of Dynasty. Hudson's battle with AIDS and the stigma that surrounded it in the 1980s affected Linda deeply. His death in 1985 not only brought sorrow but also forced Linda to confront the fragility of life and the hidden pain others carry, even amid celebrity. Perhaps equally painful was the gradual fading of her public persona in the years following Dynasty. Like many actresses of her era, Linda experienced the quiet ache of being forgotten by an industry that often prizes youth over experience. She once spoke candidly about the emotional toll of aging in Hollywood, how it felt to be treated as if her value had diminished. The longing to stay relevant, to continue telling stories, and to be seen as more than just a former beauty queen haunted her in moments of solitude. Yet through all this pain, Linda Evans demonstrated a remarkable ability to process her grief with grace. Her sorrow, while deeply personal, also revealed her humanity, reminding the world that behind the flawless image was a woman who felt deeply, loved passionately and lost profoundly. This emotional depth would later add weight to her spiritual journey and become part of the legacy she left not only as an actress, but as a woman of strength, reflection, and dignity.